And we're live.
Hello, everybody.
It's Friday. We made it another week, and I cannot believe we did. Not a hair was shaved off this head, let me tell you, and I'm lucky.
So what are you saying?
Wait, now, come on now.
Okay. All right.
Well, I think I'm just about in the same boat. I've got a couple of hairs combed over, but other than that,
Oh, that's okay. Whatever works for you.
Well, you know what this weekend is, Tim?
What is this weekend, Lee?
It's Father's Day weekend.
Is it really?
Sunday is Father's Day, everybody, and I want to, just say Happy Father's Day to everybody on this this Father's Day weekend. Anyway, so
that's right. Happy Father's Day, all you mothers.
Love it. All right, let's start welcoming everybody in. Who was first? Race Fan was in first position, of course. Mm-hmm. Sometimes Kitty Cat Whack beats him, but not today.
They've been second.
And little Cam 51 is in the house. Of course. And who's this Element 115? Oh,
I don't know.
That's me.
that's that guy.
Yeah. So and we got Angels Are Us. Welcome. Our Angels Are Life.
Yeah.
Welcome. And Mel. Welcome in, Mel, WD-40. Who's got WD-40?
Right behind me.
Yep, that's the right hand.
Yeah, it's over there. Flat Six is in the house too.
Yeah. Yep, he is. Cool. Who else? Gosh.
I'm scrolling. There's a lot of conversations going on in here tonight.
Already.
You betcha.
Yeah, we got Cielo.
Mm-hmm. Good to see you.
Good to see you, and Deanna. And
yes, sorry, and Alien Believers.
There we are.
Sweet.
And West Decker's in the house as well.
Oh, but don't forget Birkenstock Deidre C's in the house all the way from Vancouver Island.
Very good. I'm jelly that she's over there. That's a nice place.
Yes, it is. For sure.
Definitely got some Sasquatch stuff going on over there, I'm telling you.
Oh, no question.
Right. Okay, so we got the Daniels brothers joining us tonight, and we're going to get with them right after we run the intro, right? So hold on to your seats. We'll be right back with you.
Oh, dear Lord, it's these two ass clowns again. Well, now that you're here, you might as well sit down and get comfortable.
Welcome to the dimension of the unknown, where the imagination reigns supreme, crafting worlds and realities that defy the limitations of our mortal coil. Beyond the veil of reality, there exists a realm that defies the boundaries of human perception. Certain places beckon with an otherworldly allure, stirring the senses and whispering secrets of a dimension that lies just beyond the threshold of our mundane existence. The air is alive with an electric anticipation, as if the next step might unravel the very fabric of reality, plunging us into an abyss from which there is no return. This realm is a boundless expanse, as infinite as the cosmos and as timeless as the ages. It inhabits the twilight zones of existence, where the glow of knowledge and the shadows of ignorance entwine like lovers in a cosmic dance. Here, the rational and the mystical converge, suspended between the depths of human terror and the pinnacle of our understanding. Welcome to Element 115.
Okay, we're back. And let's go ahead and welcome in the Daniels brothers. Welcome, guys.
Hey, guys.
Hey, how's it going? Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having us.
Welcome to the show. It's been a while. I mean, we've been planning this for quite a long time to get you guys on here.
Yeah, it's the whole I've been looking at you. Hey, What's going on? When are we doing this? When are we doing this?
No, well, not only that, but I've been watching you guys on Facebook for quite a while now, and I've been watching you go out to these places in Utah and explore and take crazy pictures, just awesome scenery. And I am interested to hear, and I'm sure Tim is as well, as what you guys know about Sasquatch. But before we do that, I want you guys to tell a little bit about Supernatural Station podcast.
Yeah, sure. And we appreciate it. We've been doing this podcast. It's audio format for the most part. We're on all the platforms, so you can find us Apple, Spotify, wherever. But really, it's a podcast where we have guests on, like you guys are having us on, and it's people that tell us their true stories a lot of times about encounters that they've had with the unknown, right? The weird stuff. We talk about all the paranormal aspects of things. So it's ghosts, it's Bigfoot, alien encounters, whatever, what have you. And we've been doing it for a short amount of time, but we feel like we're just at the beginning of our beginning stages, and we're just going to keep growing, we hope. And it's been a really fun journey for us.
Yeah, I think we're at episode 64, 66.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
wow.
So we're still pretty new, and then this has been 2.5 years in the making. It's very slow moving because he just had a baby. So, she's a year. She just turned a year.
Father's Day weekend is very fitting for me.
Yeah, happy Father's
thank
Day.
you guys.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Absolutely.
But we enjoy doing all this. We grew up with some paranormal experiences growing, he's seen a full body apparition when we were younger. That was tucking my feet in. He can tell that story if he wants. We've had a lot of other weird experiences, sort of alien related. We can talk about a potential abduction. We don't really want to call it that, but it was such a weird experience that I don't even know what to call it.
We'll get into that the last part of the show, because that's kind of like a cliffhanger.
You know what I mean? But we love doing this too, guys. Like just talking to people, it's funny when people hide. I mean, there's a lot of people that aren't willing to tell their experiences, right? But when somebody is willing to and put themselves out there, and this is all such fringe stuff that we're talking about. And the fact that we're here, us four, and we're dedicating a Friday night to it, means that we all have at least a lot of stock in it.
Yes.
And we like that. So we're just here we trust people's experiences, right? And trust to verify, but we enjoy it. So
right on.
Well, we are in the right place. Yeah, I think we're all in agreement there. This is it's nice to talk about it, and it's nice to hear other people's stories and relate with what they've experienced compared to maybe what I've experienced, Lee experienced, or somebody in the audience has experienced. But yeah, it shows a little bit of confirmation too, I think, at times. I think some people are afraid of that. And when you tell a story, and like Lee had told a story one time, and I was like, dude, that smell, and I was like, okay, I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves? Who's who?
All right. So I'm Jaron. I'm the 6 minute younger brother, but 600 pounds heavier. No, I'm just kidding. But I am the younger brother, so it is what it is. And he'll throw that over my shoulder, over my head every once in a while. But I'm friends with Lee on Facebook. We've had some good conversations. Roman is not really, he doesn't know a ton of what you guys do yet, but
yeah, I've been introduced just now tonight, so I'll be diving in pretty heavy, watching all your stuff. So
right on.
I'm excited.
Right on.
My name is Roman, so yeah, I'm the other brother, and 6 minutes older, so I give him a lot of crap about that. But yeah, no, and originally we started this show it was just me alone, and then it just wasn't working. You got to have a second person, and then my brother was super excited to join me, and when he joined me, it was like it just took us to the next level, and I don't know, just the chemistry was way better, and it's just been awesome. So
yeah. Right on. Well, guys, start off by telling us what you've experienced in the deep dark recesses of Utah.
Yeah, so okay, let me get into one of my Bigfoot experiences to start off, since that's my favorite subject as well. Because I've seen some unexplained things regarding that. Okay, we're in Logan, Utah, which is a pretty heavy hotspot for Sasquatch encounters. It depends on who you talk to, but it's either Logan, Utah, or Provo Canyon that are kind of the two big hotspots in Utah. And so we were in Logan. We were at a manager retreat because both of us are community managers for in the apartment world, when we do our day job. And we were at a retreat where it was winter. It was probably, what was it, January 11th, I think, of 2013, 14. No, it was a little after that. Sorry. I think it was 16, 2016. And we were driving back from our retreat. There's snow on the ground, that kind of thing. And as we're driving back, I'm driving my little two-door Saturn that I had. It's a little 1992 Saturn SC2, little white car. Stick shift, by the way, so I can drive stick, which is good if there's an emergency situation. But I was driving down this hill, and there's a lake on one side, and then there's just a big snow ravine, and then it clips up to a mountainside where there's tree line. And as I was driving, I should have been paying attention while I'm driving, right? Me and him are both in the car together, and we're heading down to the valley of Salt Lake. And as we're driving through that canyon, I'm looking around because I like to look for, deer or different animals, as I'm driving. And it was probably like 3 p.m., 4 p.m., something like that. And as I'm driving, I look over to my right, which is where Roman's at in the passenger seat. And I kind of looked past him because something caught my eye. It was this, it looked like a big T-shaped, pitch black, huge thing right at the tree line. So right when the trees break into the mountain edge, there was this random thing in the middle of it that was kind of in the snow away from the trees, but it was like a T shape, just standing straight like a T. And I was like, what is that? I kept thinking it was a totem pole. I was like, is this like a charred totem pole or something? So I'm looking at it because we're really in a native culture too. And I'm just looking over. And as I'm driving, I can only look every once in a while, but I'm like, this thing's really tall. It's taller than some of the trees right there. And as I'm looking at it, out of nowhere, I just see this T-shape just drop its arms, take one turn, and then one step into the tree line. So it was something living. It was something huge, and it took one step. And if we were measuring out everything, the snow line to the tree line was probably about 100 feet or less, close to 100 feet. And right at that mountain break, the trees there, I would anticipate being about 15 feet tall. But this thing was right around that same size. And the snow was really heavy up there because Logan, Utah gets a lot of snow. So that snow was probably thicker than I think it was on the ground. Yeah. So whatever it was weird because it took one step and it was like from the tree line to where this thing was, I would anticipate. Again, I'm just trying to visualize it, but maybe it was like 10 feet before it hit the tree line. So it was whatever it was, took one step, and I'm like, that couldn't have been human. And it was pitch black, like from my angle with the sun shining on it. It was like the same color as my shirt right now, just black. So it was weird.
Wow. And what time of day did this happen?
It was about like 3 to 4 p.m. So there was still sunlight, but it was January, so it's starting to get a little darker. Yeah. But enough to see, everything. So. Right.
And what's really screwed up, I'm sorry to interrupt, but what's really screwed up is I'm the one sitting in the passenger seat and I didn't see this thing. I'm like, why did you get to see it? You're driving and I'm in the passenger.
Yeah, tell them your reaction
I think my head was like in the MP3 player or something, trying to play music or something. Obviously, it's like, that's why we're like, look up, guys, look around. You're going to see more if you look around. That's why I'm a big proponent of like trail cams and stuff too. Not trail cams, dash cams on the cars and stuff. But yeah, and like one thing he doesn't mention sometimes in this story is that on the left side, like, so we're on the road and on the right is where he saw it, but on the left side was another big snow drift that went down to the lake. Yeah. And so it's definitely an area where there's a lot of like food source, there's a lot of fish out there, and I'm sure there's deer out in those trees and stuff.
And there's no like houses or anything where I saw this. It was just straight canyon. You're driving through to separate one city to another. And it was high elevation. Like Logan City I think Logan, Utah's elevation is similar to, I think it's like 6,000, 6,500 elevation.
Oh, okay.
And in Salt Lake Valley, it's more like 3,800. And then when you get up into the canyons, it's quite a bit higher than that. But yeah, I don't know. It was a weird experience. But I was just looking over and he's like, what are you looking at? Like, what's going on? Because I was kind of in shock, like looking over. And I'm like, I think I just saw Bigfoot. Like, I'm pretty sure I just saw Bigfoot, like, or something. I don't know what it was. And I was just like flabbergasted, So
right. So now that you've had this experience, and I'm sure you've got more experiences. Is there anything that you keep with you in your vehicle, like tape measure, hydrocal, anything like that for casting, or is there?
We haven't really gotten into the casting world yet. We definitely want to. This summer, his youngest is a year this year, literally May 28th. So we're at the point where he's able to start coming out with me as well. I'm the type of guy that doesn't want to be out there alone as often, just because you never know. Like no cell service, it would just be nice to have somebody else just in case, right?
Right.
So obviously, protection items. I carry those types of things. Obviously, what's that going to do to a Bigfoot? But and then
is what we call them here,
right? Flashlight, all the standard stuff that you do. We have a bushcraft bag that I carry that has like fire starter equipment and all that stuff. But nothing for casting yet. We'd love to get into that though.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of information about casting online. You can, look it up on YouTube, and there's plenty of stuff to teach you for sure. Yep.
Yeah, we'd love to look into it a little bit more. And we're on that route. We're heading that direction. We actually caught another. We did catch a footprint though, and we have it on our. I think we have it on our website, or not our website, our Facebook page.
I think I might have seen it.
Yeah, and so we put a flask next to it. Is that the one you're thinking of?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So the flask is like 7 inches long, 6 inches long, maybe, and we put that there for reference. But the foot is another, 4 or 5 inches, maybe 5 inches longer than that. But you can see like toe prints on it, and it's just a flat foot that's completely flat. There's no, we didn't see a mid-tarsal break or anything strange, but it was definitely like a flat. It was out of place, and that's an area where there's a ton of elk, and there's other experiences. The reason we went up there is because we heard another podcast that we listened to that this guy was on, and it was just such an intriguing story. And it's right here. So like I went up by myself, and this is my second Bigfoot experience. Should I just get into that right now really quick?
Absolutely. Bring it.
Go for it.
So I was by myself, and this was a lot more recent. This was like a year and a half ago. Yeah, about a year and a half ago. And I was just like, man, that podcast episode was so intriguing. I need to go check this place out. So just a quick synopsis. There was a guy that was living in a trailer in front of somebody's home, but it was in the middle of Provo Canyon. So this is Provo Canyon now, not Logan. And also really good source for elk. There's all kinds of stuff. Turkeys up there. It's really pretty. There's waterfalls. It looks like Washington, but very similar. And this guy had an experience where he was staying in this trailer and paying a pretty decent price in rent, because obviously close to Provo City but away from the city. And he would have all these weird experiences at night. And one of them was this Squatch jumped on the top of the trailer. Well, he thinks it was a Squatch. And he has good evidence that he's shown on the other podcast. So I'm like, okay, I have to believe this is somewhat real. And it scared him so bad that he took off to the city one night, and he didn't pay rent. He left all of his stuff there, things that were valuable. And so I'm like, I got to go check it out. So when I went up there, this is a funny, kind of a weird part of the story, but I'm driving up there to the canyon, and I see this. There was a word that he called this valley, or I guess where this place marker is that he was staying. And it was on Google Maps, okay? And then I get up there, and I take a picture of Google Maps just so I had proof of it. I go right to where the place was, and I'm doing my little, excursion by myself this time. And as I'm up there, I'm like, I'm not getting too far away from my truck. I'm just going to kind of look around and have the truck for backing, and I'm kind of just scanning the area, and I have binoculars, and I'm just looking at things. And as I'm sitting there, it's probably like, again, 4 p.m., 3 p.m., I look at one corner of this mountainside, because on the other side, what caught my eye was a bunch of elk. There was like 25 elk, and they were all running in their herd together. But they were booking it. They were running from something. So I'm like, what are they running from? So it caught my attention, right? And I'm like looking at it. And then as I look back over on this side of the mountainside, because a couple of the elk kept looking this way, right? Like, is it me? Am I the threat? And I'm just looking around. And as I look at this mountainside, I took a picture of it. There's this like really dark spot on the mountainside that's like lumped over, and it's just sitting there like this. But then I could have swore I saw it stand up, because when I took the second picture of it, it was a different shape. And there was all these trees around it, and it was right on the mountainside right there. But again, it was probably 80 feet away, 100 feet away from me. So it was far enough that I couldn't make out a ton of details. But it was strange enough that I got all these weird feelings after it. I'm just like, I got to get the heck out of here. It just felt weird, like the whole thing, you know?
Yeah, trust your
Yeah.
gut.
That was a typical like blob picture, you know what I mean? Like the ones that people are like, look, do you see that? And they're like, I mean, it is. It's a black, you know.
It's
something.
darker than the trees, you know, like really dark.
So we went up though later, where we got that picture though of the footprint. We went up later with actually a coworker of mine because he wanted to go with us and just check it out because he's pretty intrigued by the subjects too. So it's funny because he'll come into my office and all of a sudden we're supposed to be talking about work, but we're talking about this stuff, you know. And but yeah, so he's like, let's go. So we go up on a weekend one time up there, and we went during the day. It was like morning sometime, like maybe 11:30.
Yeah, we went earlier this time. Oh, wait, real quick before you tell this part. I didn't get into this part really quick, but remember how I said I took a picture of the place marker name?
Yeah.
And I'll just say it was called Sulphur
Springs.
Sulphur Springs, okay? And across the street of the freeway, across from this area, there's a sign that says U.S. government property, keep out, blah, blah, blah. And then you go around the corner and there's another section on this side where I was at that's underneath and like down the ravine that also says U.S. government property, keep out. And when we went back later, when he's about to tell us, there was fences and houses there's houses that they built up there, but they're fenced off and you can't get up to them. You can only get up to like the street. And then there's just big fences and there's all these weird construction workers out there that were just staring at us the whole time. And we're just like, but when I look at the map, when we went back, Sulphur Springs is gone. You can't find it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's completely off the map. You can't search it, nothing. So it was weird,
Wow.
but I have proof of both. I have proof of Google Maps from both times when we went.
Sweet.
Wow.
But yeah, you can tell you're
so
part of it.
so when we went back, when we got the footprint picture, we went to that same area, but we actually got out and explored a lot because he stayed near his car the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So we're actually going up the mountainside this time, going up as close as we can up to where he got that picture of the blob squatch or whatever it was. And you know, we're up there and looking around, and you can definitely see all this evidence of elk, and you know, there's elk droppings everywhere and all this stuff. So definitely good food sources. We're looking around, and I looked. I don't remember if it was me or Chips that saw it. His name's Chips, the guy we were with.
I think it was Chips.
And I think he called it out. I think he saw it. And so we looked down and like, oh, wow, that's definitely an imprint going on there. So we look up to it, get close to it. And it was kind of in like a stream bed, like where a stream would kind of come down as the snow melt happens. And so that's kind of where it was. And it's an area where like most of the ground was, because at the time it was like spring. And so most of the ground was pretty soft. And so, but we only saw the one footprint. But right past that stream area was a lot of just like that marshy stuff, like the greenery type stuff that you can't really make impressions in.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was really just that one little imprint that was in that stream.
There's like a ton of leaf cover too, like all around that area, because there's all those little tree shrubs that are like mini trees that are kind of awkward looking. We have a lot of them in Utah, but it was like right around that area. So you really couldn't see any other footprints, you know, but there was that one that was really like easy to see, you know, like that looks different than the rest of this.
And the other weird thing was like, so after we did our little exploration, we didn't really see any other evidence. We were looking for like hair snagged on. It's called the scrub oak, actually, is what that stuff's called, and it is really snaggly. And so it's a good thing to look for hair and stuff on it. Mm-hmm. But we were as we were trying to leave, we were going down to the road, and there's kind of like a river down at the very base of the canyon, and so we're going down to near that river, and that's where a lot of these government signs were too. Mm-hmm. And this like Toyota Tacoma kind of like rolls around and starts like coming towards us.
I forgot about this.
And it didn't really look like a government vehicle, but I don't remember seeing like normal plates on it. It looked like it had government plates on it.
White
but it was like
plate.
Yeah, and it was like a dark blue color. So I'm like, that doesn't really look like a government vehicle. Usually they're like black or white or whatever.
Yeah.
But these two guys looked like fishermen, like fly fishermen that were in it, and they rolled their windows down and they made a weird comment, something to the effect of like, what are you guys looking for? Monsters out here?
Yeah, it was
something
weird,
like that.
Because we were sitting there with the truck bed down and we were having a little Coke or something. We were just drinking some food, eating and drinking, eating a sandwich, drinking whatever. Sure. And as we're sitting there, because Chips had to use the restroom and there's a bathroom right there. So we're sitting there, right? And we're just talking and everything. Wow, that was so cool. We found this footprint. All of a sudden this truck rolls up, like he's saying, and they roll the window down like, hey guys, you seen any monsters out there?
Kind of almost like they're mimicking,
almost like to mock us or something, you know? It was weird. Yeah. It was weird.
Coincidence?
Yeah.
Wild. Holy cow. That's something.
Yeah. And then there was one other time, and I don't know, I don't tell this one that much because I didn't see anything, but it's a lot of people know what bluff charges are if you're familiar with with Bigfoot experiences. And I definitely had one of those one time, and it was really interesting. So I was in a place called Midway, Utah, which they do this. It's kind of a higher end kind of area where there's really rich houses and stuff, but it's tucked in the mountains, so it's just surrounded by.
It's like
woods.
baby Switzerland in the mountains. It's very like Norwegian, Swedish inspired. Yeah,
yeah, and they do like Swiss days up there, where because it was kind of settled by I think some Swiss settlers, but so we were up. It was my wife and my son at the time, and he was like 4 years old at the time. And we just wanted to have a little picnic. So we went down this random trail that we found, and we kind of went off the beaten path. And we didn't think it was private property. I don't think it was, because there was no signs or anything or fences. But we kept walking, and then we found this like pond that I don't know if it was man-made or if it was natural, but this big old pond that looked like a little nice fishing spot or something. And we set up our little blanket next to that. We're having some cheese and crackers and I think we had some wine or something. Just had a little fun time. We were staying up there for about an hour or two. And while we were there, so there was this little patch of woods, like super small patch of woods that you had to walk past as you're going towards this pond. And it was kind of tucked up right against the pond, but we were sitting out on the grassy area that was kind of open. And, as we go that direction and sit down and everything, all of a sudden I hear like what sounds like a huge animal come down the mountainside, because there's a mountainside behind that little patch of woods that's like this open plain mountainside. You hear like this, sounds like an elephant coming crashing down, just loudest footsteps you can imagine. And it sounded bipedal to me. But my mind went to like moose or something, because we have lots of moose up here too. And I hear it go into the brush, like into that little small patch of woods, and kind of crash like crazy in there. And I'm like, what the heck, And I'm expecting some moose or some elk to come out the other side of it, and it just stops. Like it gets completely quiet. So I'm like, that's weird, Like usually these big animals, they'll if they're mad or whatever, they'll come out the other side, or if they're scared or whatever. So I kind of go over to this patch of woods to try to investigate, and I'm looking in there, and I don't see anything, and I don't even hear a peep. Like it's dead quiet. And like I said, that all around it was just like plains, like open plains. So there was nowhere for a big animal to go. It was a really tiny patch of woods. And so whatever this thing was, I feel like it just stopped and stared and watched us, because it never exited. It was just, and I couldn't see anything in there. These things are so good at hiding.
Well, you hear that all the time. They come right to the edge to where you can't see them, and then they just stop, And I went to that place after he had this experience. He showed it to me as well. And I'm like, there's literally like an open plain, like he's saying, and then there's like a herding area for cows and stuff. I'm like, man, this would be easzy pickings right here. You could literally just grab one of these little baby calves and take off into the woods right there, and they'd never see it. You know what I mean? It definitely felt weird. And there was a lot of bugs out there. It was so many freaking bugs. I remember like horseflies were biting the heck out of my calf. And I was like, oh that sucks. Yeah.
So our plan, and I did go around looking for some evidence, looking for footprints, looking for hair, that kind of stuff. Didn't see anything. And I was being brave, because I'm like, there's nothing in here anymore. My mind was like, if there's something here, it's going to come out.
Yeah.
And so, but then there was this little, like a little house that was pretty far off in the distance. Like I would say maybe like, maybe about 120 feet, 150 feet. I wanted to go and knock on that door and be like, have you ever had, but just sometimes people don't want to talk, but I wanted to go knock and be like, yeah, I just had this weird experience over here. Like, have you guys ever had anything happen? So eventually that is a plan of mine. I want to go over there and just knock and just see if anyone's receptive. Doesn't hurt to ask,
Yeah, I'd be nervous doing that.
Me too.
Yeah, you never know. People can be wild.
What you want? Nothing. I'm good.
Wear an Amazon shirt or something.
Right. I'm selling Girl Scout cookies.
Here you go.
So it looks as people have called you out. You did say Squatch.
Which one was it? That's the question.
Blob Squatch. I think that was it.
Yeah, I think that's what triggered.
They're calling you to the mat right now.
Oh man, ring of fire, man. We're getting
Oh,
rings.
yeah.
That's okay.
Blob Squatch is a good term, Oh, I just said it again, so now it's
There you go.
Anyway, so yeah, you guys have had some squatchy stuff happen, which surprises me, because I've been to Utah. I went to Zion.
Yeah.
Oh, Zion's beautiful.
And everything that I saw there, it wasn't really, it wasn't like big forests or anything like that, what I'm used to here in Washington, but there are a lot of canyons and a lot of places to hide in canyons and that sort of thing. So yeah, I definitely believe that.
And if you go more north, like if you go up to like where the Salt Lake Valley is, but even more north, like Logan Canyon, if you ever get a chance to go back, that's such a high percentage of Bigfoot activity because so there's a place called Bear Lake, which is right on the cusp of Utah and Idaho. And that place is also known for a cryptid of its own called the
Bear Lake Monster.
Bear Lake Monster, which is like a Loch Ness, basically. So
Interesting.
And they call it the Caribbean of the Rockies because the water's like ice blue. It's really pretty. But all around it you would never differentiate it from Washington. Like the trees are that so dense, like all pine, all heavy. It looks like, places in Wyoming, places in Idaho. So we have on the northern side, we definitely have a ton of really heavy mountainous ravine. And like even Big Cottonwood, Little Cottonwood Canyon, which is right off of Salt Lake Valley, which is where we go do a lot of our hiking and stuff. There's not a lot of reports there. We have one we could talk about from one of our podcast listeners that talked to us on an interview. And that was a weird one because we were blown away by that. Cause, it's 7 miles from the valley, like from the city, right? And this guy had a pretty intense experience. But there's so many. Like if you look at, because we're known for like our skiing and stuff too. There's a place called Snowbird, which is a resort up there, which is known for skiing. And then there's Brighton, which has won a ton of awards for snowboarding and skiing and stuff. And of course, Alta and Park City and all that. You've probably heard of Park City because they have like Sundance. That's where the Sundance Film Festival is.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. So all that's like super squatchy, like very, very mountainous. I'm going to get hit with the squatchy.
I warned you.
Yeah, but this experience that he was going to mention, I like to mention this one because I think it's cool for people that don't necessarily like when people are looking out for Bigfoot or whatever. A lot of times they're looking for that patty, where it's gonna be standing up straight and it's gonna turn and walk off or whatever. A lot of people are looking for that stand up straight patty. A lot of times these things hide so well, and a lot of times this story really lends credence to it. But the way that what this guy saw, it seems like, and it's just like yours with your totem pole shape thing. A lot of times they do these things when they know they're seen to just try to blend in, I think,
and mimic a rock or a bush or
and a lot of people are so aloof that they won't know, they won't notice it. But this guy, so we talked to this guy Nathan on our show, and what's weird about it is it happened at this ski resort.
It was the one called Snowbird that I was just saying, and that one's right at the top of Little Cottonwood Canyon. They have a Oktoberfest up there too every year, so it's like a really busy place normally, like really pretty too. But yeah.
Oh, you go ahead. You kind of know it better than me.
Okay, so his name was Nate. He had the experience in 2005. Was it?
Yeah, I think it was.
2005. But he's only 7 miles from the main valley, like I was saying, and he's like literally in a timeshare up in Snowbird. It's actually a place called Iron Rose, I think, which is the one right next to Snowbird. But he was staying with just his wife and his 2 kids, and they were having a weekend up there. It was during the snow time, so it was like, they went skiing and stuff like that. He didn't give us an exact like month or anything like that, but I know it was in the heavy snow season. And he said it was weird because he woke up, he's sipping coffee. They're getting ready to leave for the weekend. It was Sunday morning, and they'd stayed Friday and Saturday night. And he was just like, sipping coffee, enjoying all the scenery. And he said it was super busy. All these people are like getting in their cars and moving suitcases and just a lot of stuff going on. It wasn't just them because it's a busy area. And he's like, I just started looking up in the mountains and stuff. And this weird, there was 4 lumps on the south. So there's 2 mountain sides, and then Snowbird's right on the closest to the south side mountain. And then there's the north side one back here behind him. And he was looking towards the south one as they're, grabbing stuff over here to his left. And he's like, I was looking up, and there wasn't a lot of sun on the mountainside yet. It was still early enough that the sun hadn't pressed it over yet, but you could still see everything really well. And he said, I just saw these 4 lumps that were perfect, kind of sitting next to each other. And he's like, they just didn't look like rocks. So it just caught his eyes, similar to my totem pole thing again. And he's just looking at it. And he said they were dark brown, and he's just focusing on them, and he's helping his wife with stuff. And then he looks back at him, and he's kind of just focusing on him. He's like, what are those? And all of a sudden, one of them, the one on the far right stands up, literally stands up in front of him. He sees the whole thing. And he said those things had to have been, just looking at all the area and the trees and stuff. He was about 200 feet away, so a little further than I was from one of my experiences. But he's like, that would have had to have been like tiny home size, like really big, like just a big brick, you know? And that thing stood up. And he said right when he like told his wife, hey, so she saw it too. She's a witness. But he's like, hey, babe, look over. Like, what is this? What are we looking at up here? And she looks up and she just like gasps. And he looks at her and he's like, what are you seeing? Like, I want verification. And he's like, and she's like, I think those are like, are those guys in like ghillie suits or something like that? And he's like, no, I think it's Bigfoot. I know, I don't mean to say, and he wasn't even really a believer, but he just felt so weird about it. And he said right when he pointed to like show her where they were at, the main one that stood up first looked right at him, like it turned its body and was just staring right at him. And he could see it. He could see the whole body, like shoulders, arms sitting straight down, legs. He said the legs had to have been, 8x8 or bigger, like those big 8x8 freaking logs, just massive. Yeah. And he's like, it just scared me, but I was just like focused on it and I was just staring at this thing. And all of a sudden it takes off up the mountainside. Like, you ruined my fun. I was watching these people move out of the skiing area, and it was almost like entertainment for this family of Bigfoot, basically. And the main one, the male, the one that stood up first, walks up the mountainside within a few strides, which this mountainside's huge, and then gets to almost the top, turns back and looks at him again, and does this like motion, like an arm motion. And then all of a sudden, the next one that was next to him stood up, and he could tell visibly that it was a woman, like a woman Sasquatch, because of the bustiness and the heavy set. It was a different body type. But he said it was just as big, almost as big as that one, like 10 to 12 feet, like super big. And then he said that the other two were like just lumps. They weren't moving. They just sat there. And then she started trying to get them to do something, these other two. And then she started walking up. And as she started walking up, the third one started following her. And then the fourth one just sat there. And then the big one let out a roar, like some kind of roar sound. And then the last one finally went up. It was almost like a teenager, like, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm having fun. Like, but it just sat there the whole time and watched these people. But yeah, it was a pretty cool experience because we never hear about ones in Cottonwood Canyon like that,
Yeah. Yeah. That brings to mind something. It seems like they know when they're being watched. You know what I mean? Somehow, right? So maybe they're able to pick up on consciousness in some way and can tell if somebody is staring at them. You know what I mean?
Can I allude to this last part? We were a little leery to say it, but it was weird to us too. But here,
the reason this is weird is because you hear people when they talk about some of these paranormal aspects of these experiences, and sometimes people just throw that out the window. And we're not one way or the other really, but we like to hear all the stories because you got to hear all. It's like if you're an investigator, let's say you put your detective hat on, you got to hear all aspects of it and you got to take it all in. And so this guy also told this portion of it when he first looked at the male that stood up and turned its body and looked at him, and he realized it was looking at him. It was almost like he got an image in his mind, the guy that was watching it. And he said,
so the guy said, I want to see what you look like. In his head, in
his mind's eye, he said that, and then all of a sudden, he saw this thing in like perfect, like he was standing right in front of it,
like taking a picture, like me and Roman.
And he drew this drawing of it, like in perfect detail of what he saw. And when he told us on the show, he described it in perfect detail about like the length of the hair, like the color of the eyes, the nose shape, everything. Like he got this perfect image of this Bigfoot. And that makes you wonder, like, what the heck? It's like they had this mind connection all of a sudden, super quick, and it knew he was looking at him, and he knew he was looking at it.
Well, and he said it had almond eyes, almost pitch black eyes, and then it had this long hair coming down right here, and he said it almost looked like groomed hair, like it was looking really nice. Actually, the hair was. And he's like, that's
Pantene Pro V.
Yeah, look at my hair. But yeah, that's what's weird. Like sometimes you hear these stories where they're really what do you call it, like taken care of, and then other times they're really dirty and really gross looking. So it's weird, but it was cool that he saw that part, and I do think there's some credence to it. Like I don't think he didn't give us any inclination that he was like strange or weird. He's never had any other experiences. This is just one that he's kind of held on to since 2005 and just was willing to tell us because he was from Utah. And when he found out we were from Utah, he got all excited and, reached out to us. But
Cool.
yeah, I thought it was cool.
That is awesome. That's definitely one for the books for me, because my theory seems like it's becoming more and more correct on that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys have a story to tell. Because you're twins, this makes it even more interesting to me.
You got to start with this one.
Yeah, it's one of those weird ones because I just can't figure out what happened to us. And when you don't have the answers, it just kind of bothers you. So it's one of those situations that happened to us. I just don't know. But there's so many weird things with it, and we'll get into it. There's just so many weird things with it that just don't seem to be anything else except for what we kind of are starting to think it might have been.
Yeah.
So basically it was our birthday, and my wife, we're going up this canyon, one of these same canyons. I think it was Little or Big.
It was Little again.
Little Cottonwood
This
Canyon.
is the same place, yeah.
And there's a little area. It's just a campsite that's like pre-made campsites that you can rent out and everything. It's called Tanner Flat. And my wife's like, "You guys like to go camping? I'll buy you a spot up there for the weekend or whatever, and you guys can just go enjoy your birthday and go camping or whatever."
They have these really cool yurts there that are like, there's a fire pit and then this massive yurt with 2 beds in it and like tons of space. They're really nice. Yeah. If you ever get a chance, they're super cool. But
yeah, so I was like, we're all excited because it's our birthday and everything. We're going to go enjoy this like 2-night adventure type thing. And so we go up there the first night, we do our normal stuff. We're having like hobo dinners in the fire, and we're playing like country music. We have like some cool, like kind of country playlists on our phones and stuff. We're doing all that. And we're being a little bit rowdy, but what was interesting is there wasn't a lot of people at the campsite at that time, even though it's a pretty common time to be up there camping. Our birthday's in June, so it's coming up pretty soon. But yeah, so we were up there and we
don't remind me.
We had our dinner. I know a lot of grays starting to come in. So we had our dinner and we're playing music, and we tend to stay up pretty late. We're kind of like night owls. Yeah. And so we're up pretty late, and we're like, man, I hope we don't make people mad at this campsite. But again, there wasn't a lot of people there. And so we're staying up till probably like 2 in the morning, 1:30 in the morning, and we're having some beers and whatever else. And we end up going to bed, right? It was a pretty great night, pretty normal.
Yeah, it was really fun. That night was awesome.
The next day, we get up, we're ready to go have an adventure, and it's already hot up the canyon. And there's this river that kind of goes down the canyon. So we're like, let's get our like swim stuff on, and let's go like just sit in the river, because they have these cool areas that kind of pool in the river that you can sit in there.
That river never felt so good, you guys. It was literally snow water, but it felt so good. and they have these deep pools like where you could literally sit and you're like, chest high in water.
Oh, perfect.
And then you could put your drink on a little rock or something and just hang out. It was perfect.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And so my brother invites one of our friends up, and he brings his fiance, and they just want to come hang out and do the same thing with us, just hang out in the river and whatever. Mm-hmm. So they come up and hang out with us, and we're having a good time, whatever else. And I think a couple hours went by probably, and all of a sudden it was like we blacked out, both of us, and we weren't drinking that much. Like, yeah, we had some beers,
like maybe 3 beers max, like during that whole 6 hours of hanging, however long it was, but it wasn't like a ton of drinks, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And it's getting to be kind of like early evening, like maybe 6 o'clock or so by this time, or 5:30, something like that. Mm-hmm. And we, like, all of a sudden I come to and I wake up, and for those who have ever had a surgery, when you're coming out of the amnesia feeling, or out of the, what is it called? Anesthesia.
Yeah.
You kind of have that weird, you're like groggy.
Yep.
And you're kind of looking around, and you just can't really like move your body well, and it takes a while to kind of get feeling normal. Mm-hmm. That's how I was feeling, and I was just laying there like on the rocks, just super uncomfortable. And I'm looking around, and I see like my phone in the water, and I see my keys in the water, and my wallet in the water, and all this stuff. And I'm like, I wouldn't have done any of that, right? Throwing my stuff in the water. And then my brother, you can tell your part. You're starting to wake up too, right?
So I'm coming to, and I look over like super slow motion. It was like a video game. I'm like looking over like first person, and I see Roman over there, and I'm like, what is even going on? Like, it was that whole anesthesia thing. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, because I've had my wisdom teeth out, and it felt very similar to that. You're just like, holy cow, what is going on? and I'm coming out, and I look over at Roman, and he's kind of like over on the edge of the river. I'm in the water, by the way, still.
Oh, wow.
Like literally laying in the water. And I'm like,
several
Man.
hours have passed by this time, by the way. So if he was in the water for
That's
several
freezing
hours
cold
in that
water.
freezing cold water, it's kind of weird. Hypothermia could have set in.
Easily.
That's the other weird part about
Yeah.
this story. Yeah.
Well, and we were barefoot. All we had was, we had t-shirts on, I think, and swim shorts, but still, I crawl out of the water, right? And I'm like, what's going on? Where are they at? And we don't know where they went. Our buddies that were there, and they're gone. But they had to drive us up to that place, so we're by ourselves in this random spot that's kind of further from camp at this point, from that yurt. And so we're literally trying to climb this kind of mountainside to get up to the road to start walking down the road to go back to camp. But we're still so confused. Like, everything's so groggy. We're walking around like, probably we looked like zombies to the people driving by, because we're just like barefoot and like walking down this road, just totally out of it.
Yeah,
Roman had to save me a couple times because I was walking and I started walking into traffic a little bit, and he'd like pull me back.
Yeah, we couldn't find our shoes. That was a really important aspect of the story, because this will tie in later. But both of us couldn't find our shoes. They were just missing, which is really, really strange.
We finally get to the yurts. We found our way back, and then we're still worried that Roman's not going to be able to. His phone's not going to work. His keys are not going to work. All this crazy. I drove, but either way, so we're so out of it that we literally just lay on our beds in the yurts, and we both knock out instantly, just dead knockout, boom. And as we both knock out, I'm on my stomach, arm hanging off the bed over here on my right, and he's on his stomach, arm hanging off on the left, right? Because it's the two beds right there. We wake up at like late at night now. It's like 11 at night. It's dark, and I'm like, I come to, and I look over because I have this feeling. I had this really crazy dream, you guys, and I'll tell you about my dream because it ties into his. I wake up. I'm like, is Roman here? I started freaking out. Like, am I by myself? Like, I had this weird fight or flight moment in my mind when I woke up in a dream. But and Roman's there. He's there, thankfully. I wake him up. He wakes up. He does the same thing. Kind of wakes up in shock. And then I'm like, Roman, I got to tell you about this dream I just had. And he's like, oh crap, I had the craziest dream too. And so we start telling each other. And as I tell him, I'm like, we looked at our arms because the ones that were hanging off the bed. I had a red mark on my in between my elbow and my forearm on the inside, and Roman had the same one on the other arm that was hanging off the bed too. What? So we noticed that because they were fresh and they were kind of painful. It was like something weird, and we're like, what in the world is going on? And in the dream, my dream was I was running. I was out of nowhere. I was running fight or flight mode in a Kansas area where it's like just corn, like what is it? Like corn stalk or something like that. And I'm running through these cornfields, and it's flatlands. It's not Utah. It's not mountainous. And as I look over, there's this like shack that I'm running to in my dream, and I'm running from something, visibly scared. And I see this big shadow above me, and I look up at the shadow like I'm trying to get away from it. And the shadow was a massive osprey. Do you guys know what that bird is?
Big bird.
Big white and gray bird, really, hawk looking.
Yeah.
It was huge though. It was like a 10-foot wingspan, just a massive bird flying above me. And human size, I would say. And as it lands in front on that shack that I was trying to get to, perches up, and then it looks at me like, haha, you can't get to the shack that you're running to. And then I come to, and actually right before I come to, it starts pecking into the top of the shed, like attacking wires is what it looked like. Huh. And then I tell Roman that story, and he's like, literally looks like a ghost, because here's his version.
Yeah. So, and Jaron, he didn't mention that I was with him in that dream too. Like I was running with him
together. Yeah. We were together in the dream.
So we were both running from this thing, right? In his dream, his version, and my version was.
Oh yeah, we were trying to get to a truck too. I forgot about that.
Yeah. My version was very similar. So again, very cornfield looking, flatlands, very identical to what he saw, and I'm like, we're both barefoot in the dream. That was the other part too. We didn't have our shoes. And it was like we were staying in this Airbnb house, and we were just trying to get away from it. Like it was kind of so it's a little different. We're staying in this little farm Airbnb house, and I'm trying to run. We're trying to run together to this like truck that's out in the field. I see this truck, and I'm like, man, if we can just get there, turn the keys if they're in the ignition, and just get out of here, like peel out of here, because I was freaked out in the dream, and he was too, visibly. Mm-hmm. And as we're running to this truck, all of a sudden above me is like this. This is the weirdest part. It's like an astronaut looking guy flying with his arms out like this above us, about the size of a human as well. But he's wearing like sort of an astronaut looking outfit, white and gray, similar colors to the osprey. Mm-hmm. And the weird thing about it is he had this helmet on that's like it's like a astronaut helmet, but it didn't have the full black visor. It had these like two black eyes for like visor, like just big
Oh.
bulbous eyes, right?
Oh.
And that reminded me of the osprey eyes a little bit too, because
Well,
they're
and
kind
to
of like
this
those
day,
big
I am
black
scared
eyes.
of ospreys a little bit. I have a weird PTSD from osprey, by the way, and I love big birds.
Interesting.
But it's flying over
Interesting.
us, and then all of a sudden it lands on top of this house in the distance, this little like shack in the distance. And it starts like there's like a AC unit on top of the house, and it starts just ripping wires like out of this AC unit, like just tearing it, like pulls off
It
a
was literally
panel
the
and then
exact same dream.
just starts ripping all this like mechanical stuff out of the AC unit, which I thought was super weird. What I thought was an AC unit, I don't know what it was, but and then all of a sudden I come to, and I think we just barely made it to the truck, and we were about to try to take off, and that's when I get woken up by my brother. And it's just too weird of a coincidence that, like, to me, the imagery is so similar. And how in the world could we have had such a shared dream experience and have such a weird anesthesia type situation? And then look at our arms and having these little prick marks like you have when something goes intravenous and, into your arm, like an IV or something. And we had that for several.
I was trying to see if I still have it.
Several days, probably had those marks, and then later, like, so eventually we end the camp. Like, we wake up in the morning and pack up and leave or whatever. Nothing was super strange after that. But I did start feeling my back after that, and I never noticed this before, and I still have it. I have like a little tiny lump on my back that I never had before that, but I noticed it right after that experience. Wow. And so I want to get that looked at and see if it could be some kind of weird.
Yeah, he hasn't yet, but
like alien.
I've been encouraging it too, because it would be crazy if they pulled that out and it was something scary,
Yeah.
Pictures of and everything.
Wow.
But,
holy cow.
And I don't know what to make of it. Like, I mean, twins, like maybe there's some experimental thing with twins, genes, and
maybe
stuff,
they're
like
blood.
And
or
maybe
something.
what we were thinking is maybe we called them in, like they noticed us in that canyon because of the fire from the night before.
Yeah,
like,
we were the
being
only ones at
rowdy
the
and stuff.
campfire, just having a good time, and everything else was pitch black in that canyon, So it's like,
because there's been UFO activity in that canyon. So like, actually, a friend of mine saw a UFO in that same canyon driving down one time, and it followed him. Like, it flew down and followed his truck.
What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I'm going to let Tim roll with it here.
That is so cool.
I'd love to get your insight for sure.
No, that's totally cool. I'm like sucked right into that. That's great. So, and that was the first and last time you ever experienced anything like that, eh?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had any alien. I mean, we've seen UFOs and stuff, but I've never had like an actual something like that, like an actual experience where you're
maybe I phrased that wrong, but I like the two of you having like identical things happen like that.
We've always had the identical twin thing where you can like, kind of like communicate without saying things sometimes. Like everyone always hates it that's around us. Like Roman's wife, she's always like, "Don't look at Jaron. I know what you're thinking." And it's like, and he's looking at me and he doesn't even say anything, but I know what he's thinking. He's right.
Well, of course you do.
Right. But and then he saved me from a bully when I was like in elementary school one time, because he had this vision that I was getting attacked, and he was already at my aunt's car. So he comes running back, and I was getting beat up by these two kids, and he came and saved me. But it's stuff like that. So we've had those experiences, with the kind of psychic connection in a way.
Yeah.
But nothing as alien and weird as that. And again, people can say it was just a dream, and maybe it was a dream, but it's weird that it was so shared and so alike,
Yeah, that's what's kind of got me. Kind of pushed me over the edge. It was like, wow, that is so cool with two people sharing the same sort of thing, whether you believe it or thought it was a dream or whatever it was.
Yeah,
but that's super, super, super cool. Now I want to find out what's in your back.
Yeah,
no more playing around, Rome.
Yeah, if I find out, I'll share it with you guys, man. I'll share it with you.
Yeah, no, get it done. But it's just amazing, and that would be such a, I don't know. I'd be excited about that experience, but it's so it just sounds scary too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that, try to find that balance between holy crap, I think I'm having a heart attack, to oh my god, that was so awesome. Yeah, well, I'm super intrigued. I mean, it's almost like it's a to be continued. It sounds like there's a little more to it somewhere later on down the road too, right? So,
well, and it had to happen after our buddies left. So that's the other weird thing, is like we don't know what happened between that moment and them leaving, right? So it's like, and then why was his keys and wallet and everything in the water? And
yeah,
like, how sometimes you hear stories where somebody gets abducted and they get placed in a weird spot that's a little different, but they were trying to make it look the same.
Yes.
So maybe something like that happened with Roman, and then they put me in the right spot. Who knows? You know what I mean? But it just it just seems weird, you know.
No, Roman goes in the water. The equipment goes out of the water.
It's crazy.
Read the instructions.
Like I'm still blown away by it. Like we think about it a lot because it's
For sure.
Do you guys remember having any ringing in your ears? Strange.
No, we got to tell the story.
Gosh.
Oh,
We always forget to
forgot about this part. Okay, so ever since that moment, since we had that experience, there's something weird that's happened, and I'm so glad you said that, Lee, because we forgot about this.
Yeah.
But there's moments where there's a car driving by 200 feet away, 50 feet away, a ways away from me, right? Mm-hmm. But there's a little light flash or a little something that I can see the car from your peripheral, right? But in my case, I think it's right here. Like I've never had that happen, but my peripheral's off. So when there's things that happen, it seems like it's gonna kill me. So I literally I'll jump away, like thinking I'm about to get hit, and it's way far away from me. And Roman's had the same thing happen to him.
Ever since that experience, we both had that. Like off and on, it's actually gotten better since. Like it's gotten better. I don't have to deal with it as much anymore. Mm-hmm. But like in the first month or so, it was happening a lot, and like I would think something was right at me, and I'm like trying to swat it away. Yeah, and it was far off in the distance,
20 feet away. Yeah, it's so weird.
Wow.
And we're like, is this a superpower that they gave us or something? Maybe we have some cool like spider sense, you know? But still, it's weird.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
But it is going away the longer we've been away from that situation. That happened 2 summers ago. Was it 2 summers ago? Yeah.
I would suggest you guys look into EMDR and see if there's anybody in the area that will take you guys into that. And using EMDR, of course, that's what they used on the soldiers when they come back from missions and stuff where they see their buddies. It helps desensitize you to stuff that's happened, traumatic stuff that's happened to you. You know what I mean? So you might be able to find out what happened and also get some relief.
That's a good idea. Yeah, thanks. We've thought about the what's it called, like regression therapy. Is that what you're talking about?
EMDR is a little bit different.
Okay.
It's also you're going to find out what's happened to you, but the flip side of that is it'll help relieve some of the stress that that you're going through because of it.
Yeah, it's weird. We don't think about having too much stress, but I still struggle I don't sleep as good as I used to. And I think maybe that's been a thing that's been like that since. I don't know. Because I used to sleep like a rock, like just right when I'm asleep. But nowadays I'm tossing and turning all the time, and maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know.
It very well may. Yeah. I've got a million other questions, but we don't have time.
It's already almost 10. Oh my goodness. Well, 9 in your guys' case.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't have time, but I'll probably end up texting you later and asking you some questions about bloody ears, bloody noses, migraines, blah blah blah, the whole spiel that people deal with the abduction phenomena. So
well, let's keep in contact too, because I'd love to do some squatching stuff at some point, especially if we're in Utah or whatever. If you guys ever come down this way or whatever, or we go up that way, we'll see how it goes. But
yeah, definitely. Well, we have enjoyed you guys immensely, and your story is phenomenal, by the way. Holy cow. Great story.
It's been our pleasure, guys. It's been our pleasure. This has been awesome, and you guys are great hosts, and it's been a fun time. I hope we can keep up the communication with you guys for sure.
Yeah, we would love to invite you back on,
100%.
and talk some more paranormal stuff.
Well, it's weird when you start like recounting all the things we've been through. We don't think we've been through those things, and then you start thinking about it. You're like, wow, that's weird,
Okay, how can people find you guys on Facebook or wherever?
Yeah, we're on Facebook. We actually have a fairly active Facebook group on there, Facebook page group that's called Supernatural Station Facebook group.
No, Supernatural Station Podcast Facebook group.
Yeah,
and then I have a TikTok, by the way, too, that I'm pretty active on, that I manage, and then Roman manages the Instagram side.
Yeah, Instagram is probably our most active. So if people want to message us and stuff, I'm really active on Instagram. And then we don't have a website or anything yet, but that's coming. Definitely, you can find us just on our podcast as well. I know there's little avenues that you can message us there, but I think the easiest is going to be the Instagram and then our email, which is supernaturalstation5@gmail.com.
Yeah, and then,
Right on, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you
wherever
very
you get
much.
podcasts, check it out. Yeah, thank you guys. We appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Good night.
All right, have a
Peace
good
out.
night, guys. We'll see you.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we roll our outro.